and part 2 of picking your expediting van. Though there's basically 4 choices, starting with the one you don't want, which is the Nissan Envy. That's that exceedingly ugly thing that Nissan put out. They seem to be used by plumbers and electricians and air conditioner people. Seems to be incredibly unusual in the expediting world. I mean, you go to an expedite van farm, you see 40 vehicles parked, and maybe one would be an Envy. They're just, for whatever reason, they're not being used for that. And I did hear somebody say they don't even make them anymore, so stay away from that one. Coming along with the Mercedes Sprinter, that's the people that have them like them, but like all things German, it is probably wildly over-engineered. They are neither more nor less reliable than any other van out there. And like all vehicles, you're going to have to perform maintenance on it. And that's the problem, is any maintenance or mechanical part you need to replace or service that has the letter M on it is going to cost 3 or 4 times more than any other vehicle. That's just Mercedes. You're paying for that name. But like I said, the people who seem to have them like them, and they have one of the longest vans out there, like incredibly long. The Ford Transit, the one I have my most experience with, I haven't heard any big problems. The one I had, the first one, I put 180,000 on, as I've mentioned before, and didn't give me a lick of trouble. Never replaced a turn signal or anything on it. Comfortable position for driving. Seems to be pretty well refined in the design and the build. And like I said, I would recommend the Ford. That's me. The 2 main vans are going to be the Ford and then the Dodge ProMaster. The Ford is going to be a little more expensive, newer used, than the ProMaster. And I did some serious research before I bought this vehicle, and I actually put a bid on a used ProMaster, and the guy thought it was dipped in gold or something because he wouldn't move the price at all, and I said I can keep it. The ProMaster's a little weird. It's a very doable vehicle, but there's some issues about it. Some positive, some negative. You need to keep in mind. The driving position in the vehicle is weird. Whereas a car or other vans, the steering wheel is kind of in front of you. In the ProMaster, it's kind of below you. It's more of like you're driving a bus. It's telescopic, but it's not adjustable. And as a tall guy, it was awkward to sit in. I mean, it's drivable, but I have to ask, what's going to happen, 2 hours down the road? Is it going to be comfortable to sit in? Because you're kind of hunched over a little bit. It was just a strange layout. The advantage of the ProMaster is it's front-wheel drive, which gives you the simplicity of the drivetrain. There's no differential. There's no drive shaft. I mean, that's kind of nice, and it's going to have better performance, I think, in slippery conditions. And another benefit of not having all that hardware under the back, the bed is actually lower. The cargo area is lower, whereas in the Ford and in the Mercedes, you get out from the cockpit and you walk straight back. It's just a flat floor. And in the ProMaster, it drops about that far, maybe 5 inches, maybe 6 inches. So instead of having all that height poking up on the top and catching air, as you're going down the road, that height's inside the vehicle, which not a bad idea. The models built between 14 and 19, they had some issues with the lifters. And the name of the engine, it's called a Pinecki or something, and they call it the Pinecki typewriter. If you pop the hood and it sounds like somebody's hammering on an old manual typewriter, you don't want that vehicle, because the lifters are shot. They've been rubbing into the cam, and it'll cause codes to pop up for misfires and all kinds of problems. So you don't want to mess with that. But pick the van that suits your needs, that you feel the most comfortable with, new or used, whatever you want to go with. And remember, when you're sitting down doing the math, you have your fixed cost every month. How much do you absolutely have to pay each month, which is going to be your van note and your insurance. And then put aside about another $150 a month for maintenance. Just let it sit there. Consider an oil change, building up for new tires and stuff like that. But do the math. You got to be paying for insurance one way or the other. Get bids on the insurance, because the insurance prices fluctuate quite a bit from different carriers, but they fluctuate by the driver and by the type of vehicle. For me, the Transit and the ProMaster insurance was within $2 a month. I mean, it was almost the same thing. But that's what you have to look at. Avoid the envy. Mercedes, I don't know a lot about them, but they're probably pricey. So you're basically looking at the ProMaster and the Transit. The ProMaster being a little cheaper, but a little more. You got to kind of make sure it fits your vibe. I mean, not to be rude, but a Dodge ProMaster looks like a stormtrooper had sex with a dustbuster. I mean, it's kind of odd to look at. But anyway, that's not what you're really worried about. But do your research before you buy one of these things. Find out what people think of them and what individuals like and dislike, and take it from there. All right, take care.